pour it on everything. That has been the advice for 30 years. More olive oil on the salad, more in the pan, better heart. Then somebody ran the one test nobody had bothered with. Same people, same food. The only thing that changed was the oil. The month they used almost none was the month cholesterol fell furthest. You are about to find out why the most famous healthy diet in the world got named after the one ingredient it might not need. Why the biggest olive oil trial handed out free bottles for years and barely moved anyone's cholesterol. What a spoonful of oil is really replacing, and what happens when there is nothing left to replace. And what 40 adults found eating both versions of the same diet using themselves as the control. There is almost certainly a bottle of it within 10 steps of you right now. Green gold. The one fat that never has to defend itself. Butter gets lectures. Seed oils get entire comment sections. Olive oil just gets poured, and that reputation is ancient. At the Great Games in Athens, the prize for winning was not a medal. It was jars of olive oil. Our word for oil comes from it and not the other way around. The Latin oleum meant olive juice first and everything else second. Which leaves a question hanging over the next 10 minutes. Is it the oil that protects you or the meal it keeps arriving in? To find where the modern story starts, go back to the 1950s. Investigators went looking for why heart attacks were tearing through American men and barely touching farmers on Crete. What they found there was not a luxury diet. It was a poor one. Bread, beans, wild greens off the hillside, olives straight from the tree. Meat turned up a few times a month, if it turned up at all. Those men had some of the lowest heart disease rates ever measured. And the thing the world remembered was the oil. Here's the part that makes this difficult. Crete really did drown its food in oil. Around 40% of the calories on that island came from fat, and nearly all of it came out of an olive press, more than the average plate carries today. So the oil was never a myth. It just was never alone. Nutrition has a rule underneath it that almost nobody says out loud. No food is healthy on its own. A food is only ever better or worse than the thing it pushed off your plate. The word for that is substitution. It is the most important idea in this whole story. Bread dipped in olive oil instead of spread with butter. Fish roasted in oil instead of fried in lard. A dressing made from oil instead of one made from cream. In every one of those trades, the oil is the healthier half. That is where the reputation was earned. Now run the rule backwards. Take the butter away. Take the lard and the cream and the mayonnaise too. Now what is the oil replacing? Nothing at all. It is just extra. That is not a hunch. Swap olive oil in for animal fat and the benefit to the heart shows up clearly. Swap it in for other vegetable oils and it stops showing up. Same oil. Same amount. Different thing on the other side of the trade. And this is where the explanation usually goes wrong. You have heard that olive oil lowers cholesterol. That is not what the evidence says. It says olive oil lowers cholesterol compared with butter. Cut off the second half and the claim becomes something nobody tested. One thing worth pinning down before the numbers arrive. Bad cholesterol means tiny carriers ferrying fat around inside your blood. Too many and they start burying themselves in your artery walls. Lower that number and you slow the burying down. Which is why the next fact is so strange. If olive oil is a cholesterol drug, why did the largest test of it never lower cholesterol? Picture it. Thousands of people across Spain, all at real risk of a heart attack. For years, they were handed free extra virgin olive oil by the liter and told to use it on everything. One of the most famous diet trials ever run, and it did cut heart attacks. Then look at the cholesterol from that same trial. The bad cholesterol barely moves. Total cholesterol does not move either. The oil group and the comparison group finish in roughly the same place. That is an odd result. For a fat the world treats like medicine. Something in that trial was doing the heavy lifting, and it was not the bottle. Hold on to that because it takes the rest of this video to pay off. Think about the last salad you ordered somewhere. Cheese and candied nuts and a small lake of dressing. You still counted it as the light option. That reflex has a name. The health halo. Once a food gets stamped as healthy, your brain stops measuring it. You stop asking how much. You stop asking instead of what. You just add more and feel good about it. Olive oil might be the purest example alive. Nobody free pours butter over a bowl of vegetables. But an extra glug of olive oil feels like a favor you are doing your own arteries. And the amount is not left to your imagination. Mediterranean diet programs write it down like a prescription. At least 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every single day. Around 50 grams of pure fat. 2 avocados worth, poured on top of whatever else you eat. So what is actually inside that bottle? An olive is a whole food. Skin and pulp and fiber and water and a heavy load of plant compounds packed together. Oil is what survives after you crush all that and throw most of it away. It takes something like 5 kilos of olives to fill 1 bottle. If you enjoy watching one quiet experiment take the shine off something everybody assumed was settled, science, hit subscribe. We go digging for a new one every week. So what exactly gets left behind in the press? To be fair, the bottle keeps something real. Extra virgin olive oil squeezed rather than refined, which is why it still tastes bitter and peppery. That bite is plant compound surviving the press. But bitter is not the same as whole. What stays behind in the pulp is the fiber and the water and the structure. Scientists call that the food matrix. It means the packaging and nutrient arrives inside, and it matters almost as much as the nutrient. An intact olive slows your body down. Oil arrives with no breaks. There is a detail from that Spanish trial almost nobody quotes. When they counted whole olives instead of oil, the people eating the most of them ran about a quarter lower risk of a major heart event. The fruit showed a result the bottle never did, which is not an argument against olive oil. It is an argument about where the good part was hiding. And there is a second problem with the bottle, a plainer one. Pour olive oil into a tablespoon and you are holding about 120 calories. Fat carries more than twice the energy of sugar or protein gram for gram. 4 spoonfuls a day lands near 500 calories. An entire extra meal on top of the meal you already ate. And oil does something whole food does not. It never fills you up. Work through a bowl of olives and your stomach tells you to stop. Drink the same fat as oil and nothing tells you anything. That property has a name. Energy density. Enormous calories and almost no volume with no break. Now here is where you should be pushing back. None of this makes olive oil bad. Standing in for butter or lard or a deep fryer, it is still one of the best trades in any kitchen. The question was never whether it beats butter. The question is what it does when there is no butter left to beat, when the plate is already beans and greens and whole grains and nuts. Does the oil still add anything? Or is it just along for the ride? For decades, nobody could answer that. Every large trial compared a Mediterranean pattern against whatever people ate before, and the oil came bundled with the fish and the vegetables and the nuts. You cannot pull one thread out of that knot. To isolate the oil, you would need a design that sounds almost cruel. Take one group of people, put them on the cleanest plant-based diet anyone can build, then change one thing and change it back. So what happens to a healthy plate when you take the olive oil off it? That is the trial this video is built on. 40 adults, all at real risk of heart disease, most in their 60s. For 4 weeks, they ate a strict whole food plant diet with 4 tablespoons of olive oil a day. Then they swapped. 4 more weeks. Same food, less than a teaspoon. Nobody was left guessing. Every week, there was a cooking class run by a dietitian and a chef, and the oil was handed out free. Half did the oil-heavy month first and half did the reverse, so the order itself could be tested. On the oil-heavy month, almost half of every calorie came from fat. On the low-oil month, it was about a third. Same shopping list. Same kitchens. Same people. Both months worked. Bad cholesterol fell. Total cholesterol fell. Blood sugar fell. Inflammation came down too. Whichever version they were on, they finished healthier than before. But the 2 months were not equal. Over the first 4 weeks, the low-oil version dropped bad cholesterol by around 25 points. The oil-heavy version dropped about 17. Total cholesterol split wider still, roughly 34 points against 19. The strangest result came out of the order. The people who started high and then cut the oil kept improving. The people who started low and then added it went backwards. Cholesterol up. Blood sugar up. On the same food as before. Weight went the same direction. Both months took weight off, and the low-oil month took off a little more. Roughly what you would expect after removing 500 liquid calories a day. Now the honest part. 40 people is a small group, and 4 weeks is a short window. The single week between the two diets was clearly not enough because the first one was still echoing through the second. And all of this happened inside a diet already about as clean as eating gets. Nobody there was trading olive oil against butter. They were trading it against avocado and nuts and whole olives. Fat still wrapped in its own packaging. In an ordinary kitchen full of animal fat, the oil would very likely win. So the finding is narrow, and it is still sharp. Inside a diet already doing everything right. The extra oil added nothing. It quietly took a little back. And the gap is not nothing. Drop bad cholesterol by about 40 points, and the risk of a major heart event falls by at least a quarter. The distance between those 2 months was around 8 points. Not everything. Not nothing either. Bought by moving 1 bottle off the counter. There is even a clue about where those points came from. On both diets, people ate around 8 or 9 grams more fiber a day than before. Every gram of the soluble kind can take a point off bad cholesterol. The month they used less oil was the month whole food filled the space. So be careful with the word healthy. It is not a property a food carries inside it. It is a comparison, and the other half is sitting on your own plate. Olive oil instead of butter is one of the best trades in your kitchen, poured over food that was already good. It is just oil. A bottle cannot tell you what it is standing in for. Only your plate knows that. The most useful question in nutrition is almost never, "Is this good for me?" It is compared to what? The full study is linked in the description if you want to go through it yourself.